Robinson is expected to hand down a decision soon after presiding over the hearing. Let's go to Jake Trotter. He covers the Browns for ESPN out there at camp. And Jake, what is the team expecting in terms of the Watson situation at this point?
Laura, by the way, we just saw Deshaun Watson cross the street behind me into the building to my right for a photo shoot leading into training camp. Speaking to people in the building behind me, there's been no indication that they're going to hear anything from Judge Robinson today. There had been an expectation that they would hear something before the start of training camp, but training camp is now only 2 days away. So the Browns are just like everybody else. They're waiting. And one thing to keep in mind, if Watson is in fact suspended, he will still be able to participate in training camp under the CBA. But the Browns continue to wait. They don't know when a decision is going to come, and they don't know what that decision, Laura, is going to entail.
Yeah, it's a definitely waiting game across the league as we wait to find out exactly what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson. Thanks so much to Jake Trotter for joining us here.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.
Heard about Kyler's contract? It's unlike anything you've ever seen. The question is, what does it mean? We'll have the answer. Plus, it doesn't take long for the coach of the Cowboys to turn the tables on the media. Is Dallas doomed before the season even starts? Those are the questions. We've got the answers as we get up with you starting right now. And I got big news. Ryan Clark's in our studio.
What?
RC is back.
Look how it happens.
Fresh after he was hanging out with Chris Rock and Kevin Hart last night, and now here he is hanging out with us. Jam-packed we are as the rest of training camps. Sorry, fellas, as the rest of training camps open around the NFL today, all across the country, and there are tons of unanswered questions, particularly in Cleveland, surrounding that man, Deshaun Watson, and a possible suspension. As of now, there is still no news as we bring in our Jake Trotter, who covers the Browns for us. He is live from training camp, and he joins us now with the very latest. Jake, what is happening right now in Cleveland?
Well, Mike, there's been this expectation here with the Browns that they would hear a decision from Judge Sue L. Robinson before the start of training camp. But with training camp only a day away now, there's still no indication of when that decision is going to come. In the meantime, Deshaun Watson, who reported for camp last week, he's been studying the playbook, watching film, taking part in passing drills outside without pads. And yesterday, we even saw him full uniform cross the street behind me to take part in a photo shoot. As for the Browns, the rest of the players report today. Training camp officially begins on Wednesday, and that will be our first opportunity to talk to the players, including potentially Deshaun Watson himself, Mike.
All right, so there's been a holding pattern there, Jake. Thank you. Stay close by in case there's any news. We'll certainly come back to you immediately. In the meantime, let me come back to the table here, and Dan Graziano, I will start with you. That's the Browns side of this. How about the league side of this? What do we know?
It's just like Jake said, everybody's waiting. This is a new process under the new CBA with this discipline officer who's a third-party arbitrator. It's been over 3 weeks since the hearing, but because this has never happened before, we don't know how long to expect her to take to rule. So it could happen today. I mean, it could happen during our show. It could happen, next week. We don't know. But the Browns have been hopeful. The league has been hopeful. Deshaun Watson has been hopeful it would happen before training camp. And as Jake said, they're running low on time if that is, in fact, going to be the case.
So, RC, you're a player there. You report today. You begin training camp activities tomorrow, and this is hanging over everything. What's your perspective on it all?
Well, I think it's difficult because everyone starts a football season, and you want to know how many games you're going to win. You want to know how good your team could be. And obviously, if you're the Cleveland Browns and you now have Deshaun Watson, you know you're better with him than without. But you don't know how long you're going to be without him. If you are an offensive player, and a wide receiver, a running back, a lineman, you don't know who's going to be your quarterback and for how long. And I think that's more of the problem than just what's going on with Deshaun Watson or distractions in the locker room from answering questions. That's not what it's about. What it's about is what product can we put on the field and when do we get our quarterback? And I think other than that, this isn't really something that has to be talked about in the locker room. People aren't asking Deshaun Watson about what he did, what he went through, or what's going on. They're waiting on the NFL to make their ruling so they can move forward playing football.
Yeah, there's nothing about this that is a surprise. surprise. I guess that's the Browns went into it knowing this was going to happen. All the players knew coming in, and maybe we thought that there would be some resolution to it by this point, but it is what it is. In the meantime, Mike T, you brought up something interesting on our call this morning about the way they may handle Watson in the preseason.
Well, you have to assume that he's going to miss at least 4 to 6 games. So from a team standpoint, you have to get Jacoby Brissett ready to go. But from a football standpoint for Deshaun Watson, he didn't play last year, so he hasn't taken meaningful snaps since December of 2020. He actually has to go play in a preseason game, which is some ways unimaginable, but you want to get him ready as well for when he comes back. And then, oh, by the way, guys, you're one Jacoby Brissett hit away from, is it Josh Rosen playing the game? So now it gets very complicated. How do you get your team ready to go? I think you have to think it's Jacoby Brissett and then work from there.
And just in case people who are watching don't know, we don't always assume, if a player is suspended, he can participate in training camp practices and preseason games, just in case there's anybody out there who is unclear on that.
The other big thing is this. Every year I get the schedule or before the season starts, I check off wins, right? Like every time we went to Cleveland, win, right? Like all of those games. But now you're sitting in the locker room and you can't even prepare for the season in that way, which is a silly way to do it because you don't know how long Jacoby Brissett will be the quarterback. You don't know if he does get injured, and now you move on to Josh Rosen. This is something for a team that makes this that makes this transition or makes this acquisition and say we're going to have Deshaun Watson, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and now you're deflated coming into camp because you do not know when he will ever step on the field.
And Greeny, I think what RC brings up is the word you want if you're Cleveland is certainty. Like whatever the bill is, let's pay it and move forward. And until you have certainty, you're trying to get literally 3 quarterbacks ready to go, acclimated into an offense. Deshaun Watson's new. Jacoby Brissett's new. His replacement is new. That's a lot to get ready in a short period of time.
Again, maybe we will hear something as soon as today. If there is any news, of course, you'll get it immediately here. In the meantime, staying in the division, Baltimore is our next stop. After an offseason full of conversation about the new contract that he does not have, Lamar Jackson reported to camp last week. And despite all that he's accomplished, there's one NFL defensive coordinator who, in an anonymous quote to The Athletic, said the following: if he has to pass to win the game, they ain't winning the game. He's so unique as an athlete, and he's a really good football player. But I don't care if he wins the league MVP 12 times. I don't think he'll ever be a 1 as a quarterback. He'll be a 1 as a football player, but not as a quarterback. So many games come down to 2 minutes, and that is why they have a hard time advancing, even when they are good on defense. So there's a lot here. I think we react to the quote, and then we move on to the contract. RC, what do you think of that?
Stupid people say stupid things, right? And stupid people can say stupider things when nobody's going to know who the stupid person was. Like, what does that mean? We are all football players, but the reason that Ed Reed is a Hall of Famer at safety, because that's the position he played. It doesn't matter how you play it. It's the fact that that's the position you play. You take the snap, every single snap, you touch the football, and you either throw it, you run it, but you make a play. And when you play very well, and if anybody else in the world that played quarterback won 12 MVPs, he would be a 1. That's how it happens. That's how you become a 1 at the quarterback position, by winning MVPs. And he's already done it. I am so tired of people make-believing and saying, oh, Lamar's not this, Lamar's not that, because it looks different. Stop saying dumb stuff. And if you're going to say stupid stuff, I say stupid stuff sometimes. I put my name on it. That is ridiculous. And a ridiculous person can do ridiculous things when he can hide behind ridiculous quotes that say anonymous. That's dumb, man.
It's actually not just dumb, which it is. The idea that a player could win league MVP 12 times and not be a 1, I agree with you, is stupid. It's also cowardly. Okay, so I mean, there's nothing more cowardly, and Dan Graziano, you and I were talking about this earlier today. Anonymous reporting has been the backbone of American of international journalism forever. Deep Throat brought down the president of the United States because he thought it was something that was incredibly important to do. Giving anonymous quotes about how you don't think a football player is really good, I guarantee you this is a defensive coordinator who fancies himself a very tough person, but I'm putting my name on this. If you're giving that quote anonymously to a reporter, you're a coward. So if you'd like to call in and talk about your opinions on this show, we would be glad to have you, assuming you're don't have to do it with one of those blank things where they change your voice so you know who you are because you're giving like a classified information about the United States government. It's ridiculous.
But not information. See, okay, the Watergate example, right? If Deep Throat had just been saying to Bob Woodward, you know, I really don't like Nixon. I don't think he's doing a good job.
That's right.
That would not have been useful. He was giving him information.
We could win 6 wars. He still wouldn't be a top 4 president, no matter what happens.
If you are getting information anonymously, then that's worth the filter, right? That's worth granting anonymity. If I can provide information about something that's going to happen. But the opinion? Like that, I don't get that. I try to steer away from it. Am I perfect? I don't know. Have I ever done this? I don't know. Probably. But I try to steer away from, as a reporter, putting anonymous opinion out there because you don't know. Is this person doesn't like Lamar Jackson? Is it a person who has some sort of, you know, so you have to be careful with this. And in this age of aggregation, and look, it comes from a piece where the reporter, who I know and like and admire, talked to a lot of people. So he didn't put this one quote out there, but it gets out there and everybody knows that. So unfortunately, and then you get to the content of it, right? Like you play golf, Greeny, I mean, the card doesn't ask how, right? It doesn't matter if you chip in for birdie or if you make a long putt. Like it doesn't matter if you're winning games, right? You say, oh, if they have to pass to win, then it's not going to work. You know, it's like saying if they had to shoot Marvel movies in black and white, they wouldn't have made as much money. Well, they didn't, right? I mean, there's other ways to win. There's other ways to do it.
Great point.
I don't know what you want out of Lamar Jackson.
Is a good one. It's like saying, well, look, I don't care if he makes 12 birdies. He still didn't play well today. It doesn't make any sense at all. Go ahead, Mike T. What do you think?
Look, he's a young, ascending, high-character player who's an MVP. I agree 1,000% with you guys said. And you go by what we see. He is a winning quarterback that almost every franchise would like to have, and they have to get a deal done.
So how? So then let's get to the contract. Okay. Let's work our way then to the contract. They're showing up. He doesn't have the deal. Now what?
I call him into the office and say, hey, look, we appreciate you're here. We are not going to put you in harm's way. Not that as a quarterback in preseason you're going to be in harm's way, but we're going to do everything reasonably we can to avoid soft tissue injuries, any sort of contact. The way you've handled it is exceptional. It's beyond reproach. Go to meetings, stay in great condition, and we're going to do everything we can to try and get this deal done before the regular season.
But then when does that change, I guess, right? Because there's a moment in time in which you shift from that to, well, now he's going to play the season without the contract.
So it's the Tuesday of the regular season week where you have to now get
Not until then.
Not until then. And then the other thing I'm saying to him and his support system is you should go buy a disability policy because in this day and age, we're talking about $200 to $300 million. And if you're going to play on the last year of your deal, you should go buy a disability policy. And we appreciate the fact that you're playing, you know, for the Baltimore Ravens. We're paying you in the last year of your contract. But in good conscience, you need to understand like what the risks are, and you should do everything within reason to protect your future.
Mike T, but are you rushing to get this deal done? Because you just saw Kyler Murray get 46.1 as well, though. The price just keeps going up.
It's not about Kyler Murray. It's about Deshaun Watson. If I'm Lamar Jackson, I put my feet up on Steve Bashai's desk and say, the good news is I don't want 5 cents more than Deshaun Watson, but I am not taking 5 cents less because I've handled everything perfectly. He got $230 million guaranteed. I want $230 million.
Does the fact, because they've been extraordinarily careful about allowing any information about what's on the table out, right? No one seems to know what they're offering him. But should we assume from the fact that they don't have a deal done or appear to be close to it, that they're not offering him what Deshaun Watson got?
I don't know that we should assume that. I think that Lamar Jackson has an idea in mind what he wants. This is going to sound a lot like what we used to say about Dak Prescott on this show, right? He and his agent had a plan. It had to be that deal, or else they were comfortable going year to year on franchise tags, et cetera. It seems, from all indications, that Lamar Jackson is comfortable with doing that if he does not get the deal that he wants. So whatever that is, it should be more than Deshaun Watson and Kyler Murray got, because those guys don't have MVP trophies. So I'm sitting here assuming, without knowing for sure, that he's asking for more than that, and they haven't gotten to a deal. That doesn't necessarily mean the Ravens aren't willing to pay him. It could mean they disagree on the years. It could mean they disagree on the contract structure, the guarantee payout. There's all these complicated things that go into it. But Lamar Jackson definitely has an idea in mind what he wants, and to this point, he has not received it.
Greedy, my hunch is it's about the structure and the guaranteed money, and I look at Lamar with Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. Those 3 guys are up next, and if they get a fully guaranteed contract like Deshaun Watson, that's where the trend's going to go. Right. If it's more to the Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, everyone's going to say Cleveland's crazy, they're an aberration, and I think the football world's kind of looking at those 3 deals Burrow, Lamar, and Justin Herbert as like what's next?
I think I was just saying, close. I don't care if he wins 12 Super Bowls. He's not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. All right, as we continue in just a moment, more football today as training camps are open all across the league.